The morning light hadn't even settled when Armin felt it, the unfamiliar warmth beside him, the faint scent of perfume that did not belong in his small, struggling apartment. His heart pounded violently as he opened his eyes, and what he saw made his breath hitch in disbelief. A woman, elegant even in sleep, lay beside him, wearing nothing but his oversized shirt. And not just any woman, he recognized her instantly. She was Zareen Kotak, the powerful, untouchable CEO whose face dominated business magazines and billboards across the city. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Verse. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Armin froze, his thoughts spiraling into chaos. His tiny one-bedroom apartment, with its peeling paint and worn-out furniture, felt impossibly small in her presence. Nothing about this made sense. He was a single father who worked double shifts at a local warehouse, barely managing to provide for his 6-year-old daughter, Meher. His life was simple, exhausting, and predictable. There was no place in it for someone like Zareen Kotak. The night before came rushing back in fragments. The rain had been relentless, the kind that soaked through clothes and skin alike. He remembered finding her collapsed near the roadside while returning home late from work. At first, he hadn't recognized her, only noticing that she was unconscious and shivering. Without thinking twice, he carried her home, his instincts guided by nothing more than basic humanity. He had given her dry clothes, his clothes, made her tea, and stayed awake to ensure she was breathing steadily. Exhaustion must have taken over at some point, pulling him into sleep on the edge of the bed. And now, she was here. As Zareen slowly opened her eyes, the world seemed to pause. There was a sharp intelligence in her gaze, but also confusion, vulnerability, something Armin had never associated with a woman of her stature. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The silence stretched thick and fragile. Then she sat up, her expression shifting as memory returned to her. She looked around the modest room, taking in every detail, the cracked walls, the small toys scattered in the corner, the faint hum of the ceiling fan struggling to turn. What she said next left Armin completely frozen. She spoke softly, yet her words carried an unexpected weight. She admitted that she had never imagined waking up in a place like this, not because it was beneath her, but because it was real. She confessed that for the first time in years, she had felt safe enough to sleep without fear, without the constant pressure of expectations and power. Armin didn't know how to respond. He wasn't used to being seen, especially not like this. His life had been a series of quiet sacrifices since his wife passed away 3 years ago. Every decision revolved around Meher, her schooling, her meals, her happiness. There was no room for dreams anymore, only responsibilities. Zareen's presence disrupted that fragile balance. As the day unfolded, the tension between their worlds became more apparent. Meher returned from a neighbor's house, her innocent curiosity lighting up the room when she saw the unfamiliar woman. Instead of awkwardness, Zareen greeted her with a warmth that surprised Armin. For a brief moment, the apartment felt alive in a way it hadn't in years. But reality soon crept back in. Zareen's phone had dozens of missed calls. Her company, her responsibilities, her carefully constructed empire, they were all waiting for her return. And Armin knew that when she walked out of his door, their lives would return to their separate paths, as distant as they had always been. Yet something had shifted. Over the next few days, Zareen did something no one expected. She came back. Not as a CEO, not as a figure of authority, but as someone seeking something she couldn't quite define. She began visiting Armin's apartment, bringing small things for Meher, offering help in ways that felt genuine rather than obligatory. At first, Armin resisted. Pride and fear held him back. He didn't want charity, and he certainly didn't want to become a story of pity. But slowly, he realized that Zareen wasn't trying to fix his life. She was trying to understand it. And in doing so, she began to confront her own emptiness. Behind her success was a life devoid of connection. Endless meetings, relentless competition, and a constant need to prove herself had left her isolated. She had built an empire but lost herself in the process. Armin's world, though small, had something hers didn't: love, resilience, and a quiet strength that didn't need validation. Their connection deepened, not through grand gestures, but through shared moments. Cooking simple meals, helping Meher with her homework, sitting in silence after long days. It was in these ordinary moments that something extraordinary began to grow. But challenges were inevitable. Society had its eyes on Zareen. Questions arose. Rumors spread. How could a woman of her status be involved with someone like Armin? The pressure mounted, threatening to pull them apart. Armin, too, struggled internally. He questioned his place in her life, wondering if he was just a temporary escape from her reality. The fear of losing everything again loomed over him. The turning point came on a quiet afternoon when Meher fell ill. Panic gripped Armin as he rushed her to the hospital, his mind overwhelmed with fear and helplessness. Zareen arrived without hesitation, standing beside him through every moment, her presence unwavering. In that moment, Armin saw the truth. She wasn't there out of obligation. She was there because she cared. And Zareen realized something just as powerful. Success meant nothing if it wasn't shared with the people who mattered. By the time Meher recovered, their lives had already begun to intertwine in ways neither of them had anticipated. The walls between their worlds slowly crumbled, replaced by understanding and trust. Zareen made a choice that shocked everyone. She stepped back from parts of her empire, delegating responsibilities and redefining her priorities. Not to abandon her success, but to create space for a life that felt meaningful. Armin, in turn, allowed himself to hope again. To believe that his story wasn't defined by loss, but by the possibility of something new. Their journey wasn't perfect. There were struggles, doubts, and moments of uncertainty. But through it all, they held on to what brought them together, a simple act of kindness on a rainy night. If this story has touched your heart in any way, take a moment to like, comment, and share your thoughts. Your support means more than you know. And before we reach the end, here's a special request. Comment, kindness changes lives, if you believe even the smallest act of compassion can create something beautiful.